I was gonna start this one by asking about stories of if we've all thrown up in a cab, but I want to hear from Nathan in the first 20 minutes of this episode. So, Gabby, don't worry. We'll get our cab throw up stories in, but I'll ask something that maybe is a bit more general. What's your experience with people talking in a fucking movie theater? What's
like God.
What do you have like a big one?
Yeah. And it was one of the worst movies I think I've gone to the theaters for. And that was episode 2 of Star Wars, the Clone Wars.
Oh, Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones. Thank you. And okay, this was how cool I was, by the way, in kind of my early high school years. So I moved around a lot as a kid, so I didn't have those friend groups, right, that you move through school with. That's my excuse. And so Attack of the Clones came out. I really wanted to see it because I saw The Phantom Menace, and I actually like The Phantom Menace. I think it's a good movie.
I like Phantom Menace too.
Yeah, and so I went with my mom to see Attack of the Clones, and my mom, of course, having no interest in this, but you know, her loser son, you know, can't go to the movies on his own, and we were one row up from, I think, a group of slightly older than I was teenagers. I think I was like 13 or 14, and they were probably like 16-ish. And these guys were, they were just, you know, they were talking, not really giving a shit. And so I wasn't going to say anything because, you know, I'm trying to not draw attention to the fact that I'm at the movie theaters with my mom. and my mom, though, has, and I love my mom. She's a great person. And because I have to do this.
Always a great start to a story.
Yeah. She's got a bit of a Karen energy to her. She really does. She is the type at restaurants that there's always something that's wrong. And she does have bad luck, but sometimes you're just like, the one variable that continues throughout all of these issues. Yeah. And so she did the little like, shh, you know, and things. And that, of course, only emboldened these gnarly teenagers. And it was a disaster. I got to tell you, it was a disaster. Because then my mom gets mad and starts arguing with them. And like, I'm just trying to die. I'm just trying to die in my seat because I don't want to be here. I don't want to be near these teens. Because I was just trying to watch the terrible movie in front of me. Yeah.
It is the worst Star Wars movie, I think, personally.
It's pretty bad. I haven't seen many of the new ones, but that one sticks out in my mind.
Because like, it's probably close to on par with some of the sequels, where the sequels, I love their set pieces, but the story kind of is all over the place and never really like finds its footing. But I enjoy them for being just action movies. But Attack of the Clones, I find, is like pretty insufferable. But Gabby, what about you? Movie theater, people talking. Got any spicy takes?
You know what? I've been pretty lucky. The only time that so when I was in high school, this was grade 12. So it was grade 12 advanced English, and we were doing, I think, Macbeth at the time, but it was just released of like the movie Anonymous just released. It was like this movie all about William Shakespeare. Like, that sort of deal.
Movie. Okay. I was trying to think about it.
Yeah. And it was an okay movie, but you know, they had permission slips sent out because they're just like, there's some spicy scenes. But one of my classmates, I don't know who, went, and he had a laser pointer. So every once in a while, I think there was one time when the main character had his shirt off, and you just see like some like little dots of like little nipple like on his nipples, and the whole theater just started laughing our asses off. And there was like a couple times where it was just like just a little laser pointer.
Oh, wow.
That was like a little bit more fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I just thinking of the permission slips for spicy scenes. I've gone to the movies with my mom many, many times, and she's usually the one when I was growing up who was like, "Oh, we got to watch like this movie," and it's like, you know, some serious movie, or she's like, "Oh, you should rent Goodfellas or something like that." And we both like Martin Scorsese, and she was like, "You want to go see that Wolf of Wall Street?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to go see Wolf of Wall Street." If you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, you know it's very uncomfortable to watch with your mom. And I just remember the whole time, like, I still enjoyed it. Like, I don't get personally that uncomfortable. Like, hindsight, I wouldn't have chose to go in to the movie with her. But when it ended, my mom was like, I don't think we should have came to this together. And I just started laughing, and I was like, no, we shouldn't have. I'm glad I saw it, but no. But 2 times at a movie, and I've been at a movie theater where people talk a bunch, and I don't give a shit. I tell people to shut up all the time. But the 2 times that stand out, one, I was a teenager. We went and saw that shitty movie Dead Silence about the killer fucking ventriloquist dummy. It was like made by the guys that made Saw, and it was not good. But it was like, there's the woman Mary Shaw, ghost and stuff is there. This is fucking St. Patrick's Day. There's 3 guys sitting right behind us who've been drinking and like leaving the cans on the floor. There was like an empty bottle of fucking Captain Morgan, like a little one there and shit. And behind them was these 3 girls who were talking, and I couldn't really hear them. Occasionally I did, but it's a horror movie. I didn't give a shit. And these guys really took it to heart. So right in the middle of the movie, right behind us, so we're just hearing this fight, they turn around and start screaming at them. They're just like, shut up, shut the fuck up. And then they're just like, how about you turn around and watch Mary Shaw? Turn around and watch Mary Shaw. And that's all we could hear was just, shut the fuck up, turn around and watch Mary Shaw. For years, me and my friends would just, like, if someone was talking, we'd just shout, turn around and watch Mary Shaw. And those guys, the drunk guys, then got up, got staff from the movie theater, and they kicked out the girls. So the drunk guys stayed, and those girls got kicked out. Disrupted like the middle 25 minutes of the movie we couldn't hear because of all this craziness. So that was a time where I didn't say anything. A time where I tried to say something was at Top Gun Maverick. I'll do this one quickly. But there was a guy, again, drunk, there with his girlfriend. During loud action scenes, he would try to talk over them. During quiet scenes, he'd talk at a normal volume because he could hear himself. And you could hear her, like, I was like, occasionally I was like, shut up. And he just wasn't getting the hint because he was drunk. And his girlfriend, I could never hear what she was saying. It would just be like a little murmuring. You could kind of tell she's like, oh, could you keep it down? Like, people are getting upset. And during the times when it's like Tom Cruise with Jennifer Connelly, he's just like, oh my God, Jennifer Connelly's still so hot. Oh my God, could you imagine getting to fuck Jennifer Connelly? And then I could hear her tone of voice change dramatically. And he's like, no, but she's hot like you, babe. And I was like, oh my God.
That's a good save right there. A+.
I was like, girl,
such a good
fucking
save.
leave. Walk out of this movie theater now and go download Tinder. Do yourself a favor.
So, yeah, like if I'm out on St. Patrick's Day, my mind, after I've been drinking, my mind doesn't go, let's go to see a movie.
No,
it's let's just go to another house party and go get more drunk. Let's go, like, I don't know, drink some more crappy green beer. Like, no, they saw the trailer for, was it Dead Silence?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, we have to see this movie, man. We have to see this movie.
Do you know how crazy it's going to be to watch this puppet movie drunk, though? Yeah, I don't know what the appeal of that was. Yeah, I always pub crawled on St. Patrick's Day. I mean, years ago now, I don't do anything. I forget it's St. Patrick's Day half the time now. But I remember the last time I went on a pub crawl, went to the Oasis, which for our listeners is like a really trashy bar in town with no windows. And I remember being there, and it was so raucous, such a mess. Tables are pushed around, and just watching. I was with my girlfriend at the time. She had never been there, and she was not cool with being at this place that was so trashy. And I was like, "This is great, right?" She's like, "I don't feel comfortable here." And we both looked over at the same time to watch someone throw up underneath a table, and then the person they were sitting with grabbing those super skinny napkins and just piling it on top of the napkins to cover up that they just puked, like, not liquid beer puke, like they just came from Pizza Corner puke. It was nasty as fuck. But that can segue us right into our throwing up in cab stories if we want.
Yeah. Nathan, do you have a story? Because I know like last cult meeting we kind of like talked over you for like the first
a
like
lot.
30 minutes. Yeah,
You
a
guys
lot.
have just lived such interesting lives. Yeah, I have never thrown up in a cab. I've done very little puking in public, honestly. The closest I've got was coming home from our trip to Vegas in the winter. We had to get a cab from the airport because got in at like 3 a.m. and I had super COVID. So I was just trying not to die in the back. And that was just like 2 masks on in a fetal ball, just like feverish shaking and just trying to like get home so I could maybe survive. It was rough, but nothing as fun as just like projectile puking all over a cabbie. So go for it, guys.
I didn't projectile puke on the cabbie or in the cab proper. That year I went, it was Halloween and I went as a capitalist pig. So I had a bowler hat, a pig nose, and this like super flashy blazer with no shirt on underneath because I had like a Coke body back then. And I was like just living life, feeling great at Men's Bar, and of course went way too hard, and I think got sick on the street before I even got into a cab. Pig nose still affixed to my face, by the way, so really great look. But in the cab, I had this bowler hat like that you get at the Party City, so it was just like a hard little thing that I could throw up into. So it worked out. It was like it caught all my puke. I threw up into it, but lost my glasses in the cab, and that cab driver for sure threw them in the trash because I never saw those again.
So I also have like there's quite a lot of puke stories that I have.
Let's keep it to the cab for now, and we'll save the rest for other episodes of Cult Meetings.
Yeah. So I went bowling with my friend at the time and her partner. So we went bowling. I had a fuck ton of beers, some other mixed drinks. And then, so we're doing okay. And then we went back to his place. So this is like culmination of like other shit that happened. He had like a weed like vaporizer. And anyways, like I think it was like the mixture of beers or like whatever that I had, plus like the smoke and all this stuff. Because I'm like such sensitive skin. And sometimes some alcohol will make me break out. So so I had this, and then I had so much fucking weed.
Oh, especially for the vaporizer, it's such a high THC content. You green out super easy. I know.
Yeah. Anyways, I did, and anyways, so the top of my lip went bright red, like the indents of my because I sometimes have eczema like right here. Yeah. And that just went bright red. My neck went super splotchy. My face went splotchy. Anyways, so they were just like, you gotta go home. So it was from like Clayton Park to my place, which is in Spryfield. So this cabbie picked me up. My friend's like, okay, get in the passenger seat, because apparently that makes like it's easier or whatever. I didn't. And then like halfway through, we were like on like Dumbrack Street, and then like I was like, pull over. He's like, what? Pull over. And then like he pulled over, and then like I opened up the door, and it got like yeah, it wasn't good. I showed up and I was like puke covered all over me.
Oh, you got it on yourself too in the process?
Yeah.
No.
And so I had to throw out, it was like Black Orchid. It's like a metal band, I think, from around those parts. I had that t-shirt. It was my favorite t-shirt. It was ruined. And then although I did tip the cabbie, because I did get puke all over.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a tipping situation.
What did you tip him though?
I tipped him $100.
Oh, okay. Wow. That is really good. That is a good play. Yeah. Yeah.
I tipped him $100 because I was like, honestly, it was everywhere, bud. It was not my finest moment. So
see,
to get like a little
you
serious,
meant, like you opened the door and it just like sprayed out the door is what I thought you meant.
No, it's like, and so I started like, it was like right where like the seat, like the not the seat, but like the bottom, and then like I started like I couldn't get the door open fast enough.
I see. Yes.
So, so I think it was like enough money for him to get it detailed.
I would hope, or at least to pocket it
I would
and be
hope.
fine with going to rubber duck
Yeah.
and spraying it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was for like the longest time I haven't really had like a handle on my drinking. It's been to be like a little serious. I had like a bit of a problem throughout like university and stuff like this. So I have plenty of gross drunk stories, but
Oh,
you know.
me too. My whole 20s, I lived with drug dealers at one point. Like I have, I have absolute nonsense stories. I'm banking them though. We got a lot of episodes to get through. I can't just give them all away at the top. But
We can't show our cards just yet.
Exactly. But I think I know something. Nathan's definitely going to want to talk about, and I went as well. Nathan went to his first live wrestling show this past weekend, and I also went, so we definitely have some good stories from that. But Nathan, how was what are your thoughts on wrestling, live wrestling?
Live wrestling kicks so much ass. It's the best.
It
really, really is. These guys were great. They were all super into it, and they all looked like dudes you could find at any Tim Hortons, which I think just added to how much I enjoyed it, because it was a real Nova Scotian experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've never been to it. And a lot of sports, it's funny, if you're a sports fan, a lot of sports are best seen in person, and then there's those that are best kind of watched on television. So hockey is a great in-person spectator sport. Football, great television sport, right? It just depends on what you like. I've seen wrestling before. I grew up kind of 90s Attitude Era type of thing. I've seen a lot, and it doesn't hold a candle to it. It really doesn't. You got to see it live. It's so much more fun. The crowd was fantastic for it. The crowd really made it special.
They're all decent people. Like it's a lot of similar Propeller Arcade crowd. Like I knew a bunch of people there. I don't know if you saw, but there was a girl with like a crazy huge blue mohawk.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my friend Maria. So she works for Trailer Park Boys, and she's working on Rob Wells' new show Trades. So she's like a prop person. So me and her usually meet up every once in a while. But she was there with her boyfriend, and he was like, I thought he was going to wrestle, but he was just dressed like a wrestler. Like he'd never seen wrestling before. Yeah. He was walking around high-fiving people and shit. I thought he was going to get in the ring at some point. And I was like out having a smoke with her, and she was like, nah, he just wanted to dress up. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, cool. But I couldn't believe I went with my girlfriend and a friend of mine. I couldn't believe we were the only people that brought chairs for a 5-hour event.
You were definitely the only smart people to go to the event, because the rest of us were just standing around like assholes the whole time. And it's like a 5-hour event. There was 2 cards, and it's probably 11 matches, I think I counted. And
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's wild value for money as well. So often you go to live events and it takes them forever to switch between one thing to another, or to go, from one match to another, or a show, that kind of thing. These guys were so efficient. I was blown away by it. It was really impressive, because I'm a big nerd at this point for production stuff. So just looking at kind of how they did their production, the guys walking around with the cameras and stuff. But I was really impressed by the way they ran it. Yep. The crowd for sure the crowd noise was great. There was a lot of fun chants to get in on, and after about the 3rd match, I felt like one of them. It was good. Yeah. Like I knew the chants. I knew the. I was like, yeah, okay. Like I'm into this now. I get this. So yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. Jason Eisner was there, actually.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, I pointed him out. He sometimes is at the arcade. Like I see him a bunch. I don't know him personally. Like I see him around. I just recognize him. But yeah, he was there with a few people. So, and for our listeners, if you don't know, he makes the show Dark Side of the Ring. He also did Hobo with a Shotgun, Kids versus Aliens. So he's a local filmmaker. But yeah, he's usually around the arcade and stuff like that. So
one thing I'll say about
there too.
This event too is that it's done in a parking lot behind the Propeller Brewery, and so on all sides it's this torn up lot that they just have a ring in the corner of, but it gives it just so much personality. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is an authentic Nova Scotian experience. And I don't feel like there's a lot of those around anymore, at least not in like the heart of the city. I was like, yeah, this feels dirty and grungy and fun. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. One final thing I'll say about this. One of the guys walking around the crowd with the camera was a guy. He had glasses on. I can't really remember what else he looked like. I went to school with him, and we weren't like close friends or anything. He was a couple years below me. But I do remember that when we were in junior high, I would have been in grade 9. He was in grade 7. And this was during the height of like American Idol, Canadian Idol. So they decided to do Fairview Heights Junior High Idol. And like they were filming it and they had auditions. And then eventually some band came. And I'll have to look up what it was because I hadn't planned this, but there was a Canadian band, some Canadian duo in 2004 that had like a popular song, and they came as like 2 of the judges, and he sang in it, and he sang Bridge Over Troubled Water, and he wasn't bad. So it is funny. I was like, oh yeah, I know that guy for a very strange reason. I just have this strange memory about him. So it's so funny though.
What's your guys' wrestling names?
Oh, definitely Trash Rat. Yeah,
Trash Rat's great. Actually, you could do a lot with that.
Me and Carrie, my girlfriend's 5 feet tall, so I've got 9 inches like height on her. So I was like, we should just wrestle together. I'll be Trash Rat, you be Short Stack, and we can fastball special like she's Colossus and she could throw me like I'm Wolverine.
Oh my God, yes, I would pay such good money to see that.
She used to be a hockey goalie. She's got like that sturdy. She can't be knocked over.
Yeah. Nathan, what about you?
You know what? I actually haven't thought about this. I spent most of the time at wrestling thinking about what song I would want to be played in for, because there was some weird ones out there. We had some ABBA at the event, which was kind of fun. I think I think it was Give Me a Man After Midnight. I think
it was Man After Midnight.
Give me
Man After Midnight.
So that's like, I might need you guys' help on this one. So I would probably go with some kind of play on the name Stone, because Stone is a good sports name. So I feel like that, my last name is probably a good one for it. But I haven't.
Yeah, the Boulder.
The Boulder. That's fair. I'm not. I feel like I need to be a big guy for a boulder, and I'm pretty not.
Stonecutter.
What about Gemstone?
Stonecutter,
Gemstone as well. If you want to go, you could have like sequin
glam rock.
You could go for like the real flair.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's it. That's what I want.
Gemstone.
Yeah.
Gemstone.
I'm gonna bedazzle the shit out of myself. Yeah. Have pasties like on your nipples. They're like all like rhinestones and shit.
Yeah, but they have to have like little tassels at the end.
Oh yeah, so you like do like one of these and like shake it around.
Yeah. I don't know about me. What do you guys think?
I think it's got to be something. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You've got a real chaotic vibe to you. I think I almost want to say like something punk rock-esque. Yeah. But like
Duchess
really like
Anarchy.
hard into it. Ooh, I like that.
Duchess of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Or just Duchess Anarchy, like it's your name.
Yeah.
Duchess of Anarchy. Yeah. Yeah. Or I was thinking like full blown like Y2K. I want to see like a Paris Hilton-esque wrestler.
Oh, definitely.
And then she takes like her purse with the dog in it and just like takes it off, just starts whipping the other wrestlers.
There are kind of wrestlers like that now in WWE. There's a lot more women wrestlers of variety of looks and stuff. But a lot of the times those wrestlers just use their like a name. It's like Alexa Bliss or stuff like that.
Yeah. Rhea something.
Oh, Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley.
Oh, she's amazing. I love Rhea Ripley. She's the best. Yeah,
oh my God.
And Dominic Mysterio, their whole thing going on is fucking great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like
I'll put it this way. Her ring nickname is Mommy. So
okay.
Yeah, she like I think there's like one thing it was like going on TikTok for like a little while. Like she's just like tall. She's like really tall.
Super
she's
tall,
very like muscular built. She's like really well built, and then like she like she she had like one wrestler on her back and like took her legs and pinned it behind her ears.
Okay.
I had a moment. I screamed into my pillow.
Oh my god.
I had a moment and I was like,
Yeah.
I think I need to watch wrestling
Yeah,
now.
I was gonna say it sounds like you need to watch more SmackDown. I think she's on SmackDown.
Oh yeah. But alone. I watch it alone.
Yeah, curtains drawn, the sound is off. You just have like subtle music playing, got the candles lit.
Yeah. Pop some champagne.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what have we watched for movies?
Who gives a fuck about movies?
Where are we at for movies this
Okay.
week or 2 weeks that it's been since we've recorded?
Yeah, I've got one thing that I have watched recently that's worth talking about, and that's Renfield. And
I
that's
haven't seen that.
Okay.
How's
yeah,
that?
the new Nicolas Cage guy from Thing, who I'm forgetting. I'm sorry. He's been in
Nicholas Hoult?
stuff. Yes, that's the
Yeah.
one. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I figured if I threw that out there, one of you two nerds would pick up on that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Did you guys hear that?
No.
Hear what?
Okay, I clicked on a website and it was just like this jaunty tune for Ireland came up. And I was like,
No. I'm surprised we didn't.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Oh well, that's fine.
So
Sorry,
no
Nathan,
problem.
go ahead.
So Renfield it's fun. My favorite part of the movie is they reshoot some of the original Bela Lugosi Dracula scenes with
Awesome.
Nicolas Cage and Nick so those are really cool. It's especially if you're into that era, which I really am.
Oh,
Seeing
same.
like the
Yeah.
shot for shot remakes are a lot of fun. So they clearly had a lot of fun with that. The movie itself, I would give like a solid like B minus. It's good. It's fun. It's not going to blow you away. It's not going to change your opinion of monster movies or any of the actors. Nicolas Cage actually doesn't ham it up as much as I thought he might as Dracula. He clearly has fun with the role, but he's not crazy over the top Nicolas Cage. And yeah, it's got some neat little bits to it, but it is a very kind of what you think it is of a movie. There's no real big twists or turns to it. It's basically, Renfield kind of in a more modern way realizing that he's in this, toxic relationship and getting out of it in a very kind of hyper violent pseudo action movie story. But you can still have fun with it. It's a good one for like Sunday afternoon, turn your brain off type of thing.
Cool. Anything else, or is that that's what you got?
That's
the
what I got for
Renfield.
movies right now. Yeah.
Too busy work editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Oppenheimer
Oh, how was
in
okay.
that?
IMAX. It was loud.
Yeah, I figured.
It was very
I
loud.
figured it would be.
It was, I don't know what to think of it, really. Like it was done by Christopher Nolan, and like his style of storytelling just like kind of goes like zip zaps like all over the place with like incidents of like the timeline. So yeah, it was good. I might have to see it again just to sort of get like a good
Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you liked
sense
it.
of analysis. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just something I don't know how to feel. Like, yeah, it was cool. Like, seeing like the sound design was great. I do have to say, design was great. How like it was shot was great, but just like the sort of like contents of the movie, it just sort of, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I
Yeah.
don't know. And it's just like, how do I I
I
I've
felt
been
like
there
that about
though,
Tenet.
right?
I needed a second watch of Tenet.
Thank you, yeah.
And on the second time I watched it, where I had subtitles on and I was able to pick up more of the story, I was like, oh, this is just a James Bond movie with funky time travel. Like it's, and I feel like that's really most of Christopher Nolan. It's like the dude just makes pretty like above average action movies, but then there's people that tend to put them on this pedestal where other people are like, well, that wasn't that good. And I'm like, well, it was what it was. It was above average. Like, you know, but I feel like people kind of give him too much credit, I think.
Is it a masterpiece? I don't think so. Is it a good movie? Yes. It's one of my favorites, I guess, of his movies. I liked Inception. Will I watch Inception again? Maybe not. I did. I really did like The Dark Knight, though.
No, that's okay. I've been a big Christopher Nolan fan for quite some time. I think the first of his that I saw was The Prestige, and I love The Prestige. Love The Dark Knight. Inception was definitely my jam as well. And so I've seen all of those movies a bunch of times. I'm not going to say like he's my favorite filmmaker or anything like that. It's just one that I always watch, though, that I'm always like, okay, like I'll see that on his name, right? Like just to give it a shot. Because I was one of the few people I think that really enjoyed Tenet. But because it got a lot of criticism. And I thought it didn't deserve a lot of that criticism. I thought it was good. Not his best work, but it was fun. And it was a different take on an action movie. And I really liked a lot of the fight scenes that you saw forwards and backwards. I thought was very something new. But to your point earlier, Gabby, I think I've been there with movies where you walk out and you're like, I don't know. I really don't. The first movie that comes to mind there is when I saw Watchmen, because I used to be a huge comic book guy as a teenager, and then like in my early 20s, and so I had big opinions on Watchmen, and I saw it in theaters, and I was just like, oh, I don't know, not enough like the comic, and then I got dragged to see it again like a week later with another group of friends, and the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, you know what? It was still pretty good. Like, I don't know. I mellowed out a little bit. And then that second viewing, I was just like, okay, just take it for what it is. It's pretty fun. That was before I got way too burned out on superhero films. But I know I've had experiences like that before.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, what I liked with Christopher Nolan, because I think like Chris Nolan, he always kind of pushes the sort of the art of the actual film. Because he used 70 millimeter versus that of like the 35 millimeter films. So what it means is like you have like a bigger like aspect ratio, and which allows a lot more stuff to be visible on the screen. And I think it just like when it comes with like an epic, it's great. Like with Oppenheimer, you can see like you get expanses of like the New Mexico. It could be, I don't know where they shot. I don't know if they actually shot in New Mexico, but what is seen to be New Mexico, you see like the great expanse of the whole like
the cinematography of like the area, like you really you're drinking in the landscape.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. It's also like the way now I could appreciate that for such a big like sprawling like epic where you're not confined to a lot of like indoor shots. Like if it's just like set like purely outside, great. Which a lot of scenes were outside. A lot of it you got to see like a lot of the like the town of Los Alamos and all that stuff. You got to see like I don't know how he did it, but how he shot, like he hardly used CGI for the actual like atoms like clashing together and all that stuff, and the what looks to be like the inside of like an explosion. I don't know how he did it, but it all looked great. And he didn't have Hans Zimmer for his he didn't use Hans Zimmer to score his movie. He used someone else, and I think as much as I like Hans Zimmer, this guy, it was a beautiful soundtrack too.
Hans Zimmer can be a little bombastic for people.
Yeah.
I like Hans Zimmer as well, but it's always like like, I remember he did the Modern Warfare 2, like the original 2009 Modern Warfare 2 soundtrack, and it's the craziest, most jingoistic shit ever.
Ludwig Göransson did the score, and I liked it a lot. But again, it was like that sort of deal of just like I don't know. So
cool. I saw finally Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet.
I did,
I
yeah.
haven't seen it.
And Gabby, you said you haven't? No, so yeah, well,
Nope.
I won't say anything spoiler really about it. I enjoyed it. I liked it pretty much. I think I liked it just as much as the first one. I know some things that I heard people complain about the pacing of it, but I thought the pacing was fine, especially for a movie that, one thing I will spoil, cliffhangs real hard. they're clearly making the next one.
Yeah.
Like it ends like any like Empire Strikes Back. It's like, oh yeah, there's another one coming. But I felt when we got to that stuff that is setting up the next one, there was an emotional through that finished. So I felt like there was 3 acts that finished, and then there was an epilogue. So I didn't feel robbed. I felt like the twists and turns of the movie were all earned and felt really good. So I was happy with it. I liked it. A bunch of memes now make sense on the internet that were not directly related to Spider-Man, but were referencing things from that movie. I was like, oh, okay, that I get where this now just popped up out of fucking nowhere. So that was good. But I enjoyed that. I think that was the only new movie I watched. Yesterday I was just hanging out, and any excuse I have to get into my VHS collection, I was like, well, I'm gonna watch The Rock with fucking Nick Cage and Sean Connery. Love that shit. Nick Cage is so funny. And I just love that type of movie, like taking guy who works the desk job at some Secret Service or FBI place and making them go on the field mission, like that. Hunt for Red October, surprisingly both have Sean Connery, but that kind of movie, I love that shit and seeing what they have to do. So that was a no-brainer for me to throw on. Funny that I was thinking about the scene where they're like careening through San Francisco and they destroy all these cars, and you think about it, it's like, I don't know how many blocks they drive through just smashing into things and blowing shit up for like 5 minutes. If that happened here in Halifax, everyone would just move. This would be a ghost town. They'd be like, we're not going to bother rebuilding. We're shutting down. We're moving deeper into the province. We're done with this. It's destroyed. It's not happening. But I watched that, and then I watched Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park back to back. Which was an interesting experience because I've always been like, I like The Lost World Jurassic Park. And then when you watch it right after Jurassic Park, you're like, wow, they really kind of didn't bring it all the way with this one. And I think part of the problem is when watching the first Jurassic Park, there's sort of these quiet moments where people get to talk to each other, as well as the acting is really good that conveys the stuff of like Alan just sort of being this dinosaur nerd who's uncomfortable around kids, but now is in his element, and just the way people react to things. Ellie's kind of, arc throughout it of being super cool, but like, just again, like these nerds that get heightened by being thrown into what they've been studying all this time. So there's a lot of stuff to like pick apart and see there in these little moments in between the dinosaur action. The Lost World has some of that off the top, but then there's a point in about the middle of the movie where it's literally just scene after scene of people getting attacked by dinosaurs, and none of the main characters have another conversation with each other that's not just run here or climb up that. So you lose that. And also the movie was originally shorter. It was supposed to end after the raptor attack, the helicopter comes for them, and there was some sort of epilogue, and there was I think some other scenes involving a death for the bad guy and whatnot, but it did not go to San Diego with so there's this extended action sequence that gets added on that it further inflates this time where we're not spending anything kind of getting into what the characters are feeling, because I think the setup of kind of trying to do the BBC, let's go not interfere but photograph these animals in their natural habitat while there's other people exploiting them for a circus is interesting, but it's never fully explored. And there was rumors that Spielberg directed some of it over satellite because he was also getting into Saving Private Ryan at the same time and was sort of stretching himself too thin, and I can kind of believe that as well. So it's entertaining for being dinosaur action, but it doesn't hold a candle to the first one.
No.
So
All right.
that was it for movies. What have we been getting into for the old television?
Sheesh, 40,000 channels and only 150 of them have anything good on.
Yeah. So I watched the first season of White Lotus.
Yes, you mentioned this off mic to us when we were recording another episode there. Yeah, how was that?
It was crazy. It took me like a little like slow to get into. But it just started, and then just like everyone just started spiraling down. Like one of the characters, Armand, he played by Murray Bartlett. Murray Bartlett, you'd have seen him. I think people must probably seen him on The Last of Us, where he was like playing opposite of Nick Offerman. But spoilers, but in the season he plays the manager for the White Lotus, and he interacts like this bunch of fucking crazy ass guests. Like there's Jennifer Coolidge, who plays Tanya. She's like she's like a rich and needy, like self-absorbed
She
heiress.
won an award for that, didn't she?
Yeah. She was fucking crazy because like she went there to bury her mom, like to scatter her mom's ashes, but when she went to do it at first, she booked a boat to go, and so Armand, he was having this crazy beef with this guy named Shane. He's like the male Karen. He's like he's essentially like this really rich sort of dude. He's demanding, wealthy, entitled, like he's a big real estate agent. So he has money, and basically when they first arrive, he's on his honeymoon with the gorgeous Alexandra Daddario. She plays his new wife, Rachel, which their relationship is like rocky because like he's like, no, you're now my wife. Like you don't need to do like your journalism thing. It's fine. You're just writing shitty clickbait things anyway. So why? Yeah, He sucks. Yeah. He sucks. But he's like, as soon as they touch down, like him and Armand just sort of keep battling heads. And like I think like one of the funniest scenes is there's like a bunch, but to get back, Armand books Shane and his new wife on Tanya's like ash throwing like memorial boat as like a romantic dinner. So you have like Jennifer Coolidge like, oh wow, thanks so much for coming on this boat ride with me. It means so much. And then like they're like, what?
That's actually a really good Jennifer Coolidge.
Thank you. But oh my god. There are some scenes that just really fucking shocked me because like Armand was like a recovering drug addict, but then he finds like this bag left by Sydney Sweeney's character and her friend who had like ketamine, speed, Molly, all this shit. So he just went straight back into his drug addiction. And then there was one scene where he's like, fuck it. I need a night and myself and this hot ass twink. It's not really twink. Maybe a mix between a twink and something else. Anyways.
Might be an otter. If it's not a twink, it might be an otter.
No, he's not hairy.
Oh,
He's not hairy. So a twunk. He's a twunk. He's like a twink hunk. Anyways, so Mary Bartlett, like they started to get it on. And anyways, Shane was like, I need to speak with him. Like my room's still not up to par. I'm still not happy about this boat thing that I went on. So they walk in on Armand actually eating the ass of this twunk. And it's just like, you see it.
Yeah.
You see it. And you're just like, holy shit. And one more scene that it's like the very climax between these two. Armand knows he's going to be fired, so he sneaks into Shane's room and actually takes a shit in his luggage. Like, you see him squat and you see something come out of his ass.
That's hilarious. Which, back to wrestling, that used to be a prank they'd pull on each other on the road, and they'd shit in each other's luggage. Just fucking heinous.
Oh my god. It was... Yeah.
Took the words right out of your mouth.
Yeah, it was just like crazy, and I've seen the second season, and someone say that the first season is based off of greed, the second season's based off of sex, and it's great because some people like kind of liken to it as like the 7 deadly sins, because like I think there's supposed to be like 7 seasons, and I'm excited. The third season's going to be set in Thailand, and it's going to be based around like spirituality. So I cannot wait to see a bunch of like shitty white tourists.
Yeah, because I think the spirituality sin is wrath. I think,
or gluttony.
Or yes,
I think,
or
it might be like gluttony, because like I think a lot of like these people are going to be like overindulging and just sort of like do that whole like white tour, like spiritual tourism sort of deal.
Yeah.
Like sort of like
get the one string of beads, like the beaded hair hanging down in the front. Like, oh no, you haven't experienced Thailand until you've experienced my Thailand.
Yeah, but it's like it's all on a resort and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah. Anyways.
Nathan, how about you?
So I'm staying on the vampire theme here. I actually just very legally acquired the new season of What We Do in the Shadows. Do you guys watch that at all?
I'm watching the new season as well. I think I've watched the first 4, maybe 5 episodes that are out.
Nice. It is my favorite, I think, ongoing show at the moment. I love it so much. Matt Berry is like my spirit vampire.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Have you ever watched Toast of London?
Devious.
Yes.
Toast of London is so great. Yeah. Yes, Glam Fandango. I can always hear you.
Yeah. You most devious bastard of all New York City.
Yeah. And he just does that in everything he's in. Just he pronounces shit weird, and it's just this choice he's made. He like IT Crowd, Toast of London, this. It just does it, and it's I love it so much. Everybody, Jackie Daytona from Arizona.
Oh my god, the Jackie Daytona episode is easily my favorite.
Yeah.
I think
Probably,
of that entire series.
That is so my favorite, and then I think the pilot is my favorite because it does such a good job of escaping the trappings of being like pilots. Sometimes it's like, oh, they didn't quite get the fitting, or they were trying. This is more the jokes for producers. Like the jokes aren't quite as hitting as they do later in. I think their pilot is fucking perfect. And I mean, it has the joke that Laszlo makes about how he heard someone knocking at his window, and he was like, who the fuck is that? I live on the 3rd floor. And I thought that's the funniest thing that they've done.
Yeah.
Actually, Matt Berry, I love Matt Berry. He actually has a music career as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he actually, when he plays, I think at the end of one of the seasons, he's like before Guillermo comes to like try to ask him to go back to London because he wants to, I guess, travel with Nandor, but like. Matt Berry is actually playing the intro for, I think, Toast of London on the piano.
Oh, is that when he's like gay is in and he's like all done up or something like that? I can't remember. It's been a minute since I watched the other seasons. I can't remember.
But yeah, he has like a couple of really cool like albums and stuff like that.
What kind of music is it?
Oh God, it's like a really I'm trying to think of the way to describe it, because it's not exactly, it's like a poppy, sort of not pop. it's weird
Feel
because
we'll
like
just have
I
to
don't know
listen
how
to
else-
this to
I
figure
think
it
we're
out.
gonna have
It's
to
like a
listen to
funky.
it.
It's like a really funky one. Let me see here. Albums. Well, there's one's called Witch Hazel. Let's see here. I'm on his Wikipedia. Music. Yeah. Let's see what he does. He's done I don't know. Jesus. Oh yeah. Witch Hazel. It's like a very like groovy, like funky, like 70s inspired, like weird R&B thing. I don't know, man.
I can
It's
imagine
We're
just
gonna
that.
listen to
weird.
it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you what genre we think it is on the
That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah.
I'll tell you what genre I think it is. Nathan will say what genre he thinks it is on the next cult meeting
Yeah.
episode, and we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's woo, I don't know, but it's really good. It's one of them is Take My Hand, which is one of my favorite ones. It's like here it is. It's like an acid jazz, like psychedelic rock sort of deal. Like you can listen to
that
it.
makes sense.
It's like the Monkees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat. Yeah,
Um,
that's about what I've been. See, and that's funny because I haven't even actually watched it yet, and the reason for that is the new update for Phasmophobia dropped this week, and so my wife and I are
Oh.
just playing Phasmophobia whenever we get the chance, instead of actually watching things. And I'm not a video gamer really at all. I've played more video games, and by that I mean mostly Phasmophobia this year than I have probably like the last 5 years combined. But it is just my game. It's a puzzle psychological horror game, spooky ghosts. It's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, TV for me, Star Trek Strange New World ended on a huge cliffhanger. There's a writer's strike. It's going to be forever before that next season comes out. But the season was great. We got our first musical episode. They did a crossover with the animated series. So Jack Quaid from The Boys, he's in Star Trek Lower Decks, and Tawny Newsome, they played their characters in live action. They like get sent back in time, and they're on the ship, and it was fucking phenomenal. So great season. I absolutely loved it. But now I'm on Only Murders in the Building. Do you guys watch Only Murders in the Building?
No, but I've seen the
I was
trailers.
gonna say I'm at that point. Yeah,
Absolutely should watch it. So Nathan, did you say you have or haven't seen it?
I've seen the trailers and I know the synopsis, but I
Yeah.
haven't watched it.
It is
Yeah.
so good. I love whodunits, like and trying to find new ones. Like, you know, there's a lot of series, a lot of British series whodunits. Like, but like trying to find movies, I'm always like, okay, well, I've seen Knives Out, I've seen like this or that. Like, there's not many, so I need to find some more. But I love whodunits. It's super good, and it's so funny. Like, it's probably one of the most perfectly written TV shows that I've ever watched. Everybody's firing on all cylinders. Like Steve Martin, Martin Short, both funny. I forget her name, who's on it.
Selena Gomez.
She's also really great in it. She works really well with them. Like, their chemistry, all three of them, is great. And you get a lot of like other actors that come into play, fill in the rest of the parts. So yeah, super worth watching. So funny. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. But I'm on the third season now. I need to watch the most recent episode. I haven't seen it yet, but so that's where I've been with TV. I'm waiting for the next Star Trek series to start up. I think it's Lower Decks, so I just need to wait for that, and it'll start up at some point.
Because I have watched. Is it the cartoon one? Is that the Lower Decks?
That's
one?
Lower Decks, yeah.
Yeah, I have watched a couple episodes of Lower Deck, and actually with like Jack Quaid, I forgot he's in Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah.
He's like in a couple like really weird. Would you say why?
No, I
was
said,
like,
oh
yeah.
yeah. I just remember.
Then Nathan's like,
Why would
the
you do
fuck
that?
is he in Oppenheimer?
Why would the beautiful child of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid get work in Oppenheimer? Fuck.
Okay, we all know who Josh's crush is. But yeah, so in Oppenheimer, he plays like this young like scientist, but there's like two scenes where he's playing the bongos. And I think it's in his contract. I think he put it in his contract. He goes like, I will only do this film if I get to play the bongos. Because he's just like going like, one was at a party.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, he's that asshole who brings an instrument to a party. And then another thing was like after they like did the test, and he's like super happy. He's so happy he's big on the bongos. He's just
I think he plays Richard Feynman, right? In Oppenheimer?
Yes.
Yeah. And Feynman was a weird dude. He drove like the military brass crazy because he would write encoded messages to his wife, and his wife would write back. She was like a mathematician, dude. They were both super geniuses. And the military were like, had to ask them for a cipher for it because all of their mail got opened and checked, right? Because it's way above top secret. And and he would go and break into other people's offices and their desks and stuff just to do it and to show them that their security wasn't up to snuff. And apparently he was a real shit disturber as a person. So I like that they distilled that down to bongos.
Yeah.
Bongos. Yeah. But also every time like I see Jack Quaid, I think of on the TV show The Boys, to sort of like bring it back to like we're in the TV segment. What was it, Queen Maeve? Every time she sees Jack Quaid, she's just like calls him a twink
or like a beta
and he goes,
cuck
like,
or something. Yeah.
No, it's just like I think the last thing is like every time I see you, it's like the neon sign that says rail me. I'm a twink.
Oh my God. I gotta finish watching that. I didn't finish the last season. It's another show I haven't.
I avoided The Boys for a long time because I did not like the comic. I didn't like people who read the comic. I found them to be insufferable. Because they only liked it because it was edgy. And I don't like Garth Ennis. I find he is just edgy for the sake of being edgy, and I don't feel he ever says anything of value. So I avoided it for a long time, but they completely changed it.
It's so much better than the comic.
Well, they changed it in a way that it is something that is of value and has something to say. And when you watch interviews with Seth Rogen about anything, he is a surprisingly intelligent guy for just somebody who made a bunch of stoner comedies. It was sort of pulling the wool over our eyes. So now we have this, and just the way he enjoys making movies and shows. There's a lot of love that goes into the production and stuff. So I've completely did a 180 on it. I was completely against. I'd never wanted to watch it, and I'm completely caught up with it. So I'm looking forward to the next season.
Have you guys seen Preacher? It's like another Seth Rogen, Garth Ennis.
I've seen a bit of it here and there. I didn't watch it like beginning to end, but I had friends who were watching it, so I've seen like episodes and like crazy ridiculous shit. But it seemed pretty cool.
I've read the comics. I haven't actually seen the show yet.
I've read the first issue of Preacher. Like I saw the TV show first, and then I read Preacher. I do have to say any like Garth Ennis like adaptation's better. Sometimes you can't say that about like comic book like to movies or TV show, but definitely this time the TV shows are better. So
there was something else I was going to say that I was there's two things that I wanted to bring up. One's a TV thing, one's a video game thing, because you were talking about playing Phasmophobia with D. Have you ever played It Takes Two?
Oh my God,
it's
that sounds so familiar.
Game. It's a very recent game. It's about like a couple it's about a couple that are going to get divorced, and their daughter wishes that they could work it out. So she gets turned into a little wooden doll, and he gets turned into a little clay man. And you both one person controls either one, and you have to do different stuff and you get different items, and you have to like work together through this kind of magical adventure and learn to work together.
So fun. Yeah,
and,
I would be into that.
I've been playing it with Carrie, and we have been having an absolute blast. It's super, super fun. Like, because there's the times where it's like sometimes you're doing the same thing together. Sometimes it splits you up. Sometimes it'll give you like two different weapons that work together in a certain way. But like I think the last thing we did was we pissed off a bunch of squirrels that were kind of like militaristic, and they had like acorn technology. So they're very much like American military sci-fi guys. But it ended with me having to fly a plane made out of my character's like underwear and twigs, and it's like a crazy jet plane, while she was on top fighting the squirrel guy in like hand-to-hand combat. And it was very silly, but it's like a platformer. It's a lot of fun, but great co-op game. So if you were looking for something else, and I don't think it's very long, I think we're getting to the end of it, and we've only sat down with it a couple times. But if you're looking for something else to play with D that's very co-op centric, I would recommend that. And then the other thing I was going to ask is, Gabby, do you watch 90 Day Fiancé?
Yes.
Have you watched the most recent episode?
No,
Okay, then
no,
I won't bring it
haven't.
up.
No. Please do.
So
Please do.
I just saw a clip of it. I don't watch it. I know
Uh-huh.
of it. I know what it is. So I just saw a clip.
Mhm.
And so I don't understand the full concept of the show. There seems to be people sitting in hotel rooms watching their confessionals on a laptop.
Yeah.
And so during the it's like, you know, the woman and the guy.
Is it? So there's 10 million other 90 Day Fiancés. Is it the original? Is it the other way? Is it before the 90 days? Is it?
I don't know.
UK?
I think it's the base one. But basically,
Okay.
they go to the confessional of the woman who's like, I don't know where she's from. She has some accent and it's with some nerdy white guy. And she's like, yeah, I've done stuff with him that I've never done before. Last night, I peed on his chest. I gave him the golden shower, is what she says. She's like, I gave him the golden shower. And she's super proud of it. And it was like in their hot tub at their Airbnb. And then like it just cuts to everybody's reactions. And that's all I saw was just a clip on TikTok. So I don't know who the other people are that are watching. I like only saw this bit and I was like, that's crazy. So I was curious if you were up to date, had any info for me here.
Well, another thing I've been watching besides White Lotus is I just binge watched. So, a little context. I haven't been sleeping really well lately because last Saturday I got so sunburned. I'm still like super flaky. Like I don't think you can see it, but I got this thing. Sometimes this happens when you get really sunburned, especially on your back or on your arms. It's something called Hell's Itch.
Oh God,
That sounds lovely.
Oh, it's I literally open mouth wept because I was like, if I was so itchy, like I took like 3 cold showers, didn't work. I slathered myself with lotion, didn't work. I had to open up my mouth. I took like 3 antihistamines. I took like a bunch of anti-inflammatory, and nothing worked. And I was like, I went through all the stages of grief within like 12 hours, and I just stopped itching today. Anyways, I just binge watched because I wasn't sleeping at night. I binge watched Below Deck, the newest second season of Below Deck Down Under.
Is this about like people that like work on a cruise ship or something?
They work on private yachts.
Oh, okay.
Like charter yachts. So rich people will charter these yachts and take them out. So it was it just happened like not too long ago. Anyways, it was
is this the guy that the date rape, the attempted date rape thing? Okay, yeah, I did see some stuff about this.
Yeah.
This was crazy.
Yeah, like a bit of trigger warning. So after every charter, the crew, like the stewardesses, which are the housekeeping waitresses, they get whatever the guests like, and the deckhands, which do like take out all like the fun toys stuff, that do a lot of like the ship work. Anyways, the lead bosun, him and one of the stewardesses were like getting kind of close, kind of intimate. But after this charter, they all went out and she got absolutely wasted. And she told him a bunch of times, like, no, I want to go to bed. I don't want to do anything. And anyways, they get home. He was super drunk, but that's still never excuse, because I get super drunk. And my first instinct is not to try to sexually assault someone. So anyways, he stripped down, completely nude, and he climbed into her bed, like nude, and she was asleep. And the producers actually stepped in and like they were like tapping him, like, you got to get out. You got to get out.
But and he was like
one
sort
of
of
the scariest
fake
things-
sleeping. He was like fake, like doing the like a kid waiting to get picked up in a car by your
Yeah.
parents, like thing. Like it's like,
Yeah. And he's like, and he was like, he's like, her name is Margot. I was like, Margot, are you awake? She's like, yeah, I want to go to bed. And I'm like, 10 out of 10, tired. And he goes like, what about a 9 out of 10? He was looking for that. He was edging in so that he could say, okay, that means sort of. But automatically she was like, no. The other stewardess is like, get out. The producers are like, get out. So the producers, he got out. He got out of the bunk, but he slammed the door and he kept closing the door, like with just her inside. And it was really frightening. And to have, and like this poor, it was just like, she was so drunk, and they finally kicked him out, and he went to his own cabin. What, like, the head stewardess went to the captain kicked him out that night, which is great. But it was like, and you look back at other scenes with him and you could see these red flags right away, because he like full blown like pecked her on the mouth without consent, just like because he was like, oh, you got something in your eye, and then she like opened her eyes up or whatever, and then he just leaned in and kissed her, which is gross.
And it's just crazy how much it's crazy that this is what he's willing to do on fucking camera on a reality show where they're being filmed all the time. Like, not a great guy. And
I think like right afterwards, like one of the stewardesses, she was a shitty person. She would not leave one of the deckhands alone. Like, she constantly was touching him, like massaging his shoulders, acting really inappropriate. And that same night, like, they were all drunk, and he was like, I want to go to bed. I told her no so many times. I'm going to bed. And then she's like, I'll give you a massage. And he's just like, only if you can like leave me alone. And it's nothing sexual, nothing sexual. And then like, even then he was like, you know what? No. And then she like squirted like the massage oil on him and like just got up on top of it. Like, it just started. And even the producers were like, because like it just happened with like the other deckhand, and they're just like, come on, no, get out of the bunk,
spray him with water. It's done. We're done.
It was, and then she got kicked out because of that. But she was also super sad because she was just like, her attitude towards what happened to Margot was absolutely disgusting, because she's just like, I'm so sad that Luke left, you know? He didn't do anything wrong. He should have been fired because of that. Yeah. And I was
conspiracy
like, oh, man,
to rape is not rape. But
no,
what's that Simpsons joke where he's like, what did I even get arrested for? Attempted murder. What the hell is that? You don't win a Nobel Prize for attempted chemistry.
Yeah, no, it was this is like what we see like on camera. And I do know like some reality TV shows are so shitty, like behind cameras. Definitely. Like to get like that like crazy like shot or get like that crazy storyline, they will do anything. And so if this is like what happens like this one time, it's like on camera and stuff like that, I don't want to know what happens behind camera, because that's like another whole can of worms. Yeah. So anywho,
all right. Well, let's move on and talk about the really super crazy fucked up movie that we just had an episode release about, and what thoughts we've now developed about that. So I re-listened to it a couple times recently to help out with the notes of the editing. I'm trying to think if there was anything specific that I was going to write down or talk about. One thing I did discover in trying to hunt down audio clips for this is that there is a direct sequel in 1994 that is about a woman who is a victim of Dr. Meyerling, who's hunting down the living children and babies. So we might do it. I scrubbed through a YouTube copy, but the YouTube copy, the sound drops out halfway through.
Oh no!
So it's unwatchable. So if I can manage to find us a copy, we will do the second one. But there's a lot more baby. I'll tell you that. It is a way shittier special effect.
Oh no!
But it also murders a lot more people. Even the brief description of this movie on Wikipedia is: woman is hunting down these babies, the mother of this baby is trying to stop that woman and protect her baby, but that baby continues to leave a trail of destruction, I think is how it's done. So, you know, it learning that there was a sequel to this, I was like, and looking at it, it's like clearly like a lower budget. It looks shittier. It looks like a TV pilot, like, but it was the direct-to-video version kind of thing, but it is a 1994 direct sequel to The Unborn, which was a crazy thing to discover like this late in the game.
That's incredible. I hope we can find that, even if we just watch it ourselves, and even if it's not an episode.
Just to take it in and talk about it separately. Yeah, because it's hard to know with when you start getting into movies of that budget. It's hard to know if it's going to be worth it or not. There could be a lot more boring stuff and less interesting work going on there, but we'll see about maybe doing it in the future and see what's up.
In the YouTube copy that you found, is it like the babies, the murderous babies? I guess there's only one that the movie focuses around. Is it like the 1 day old kind of thing, like we saw with the little baby in the original Unborn? Is it that kind of?
It's still a baby that needs to be held and bottle fed, but it has like a weird big Robert Zadar head. Like, instead of being a weird little Play-Doh baby, it's like they clearly needed to fit giant animatronics in this head. So its head is probably bigger than my head on a really tiny body. And it's just like the eyes don't focus on anything. And it's got like the big Robert Zadar chin. Like, it's really fucking weird looking. I'll send you a picture of it. It's fucked up. But yeah, it's a very small, needs to be held, fed baby, but then like bites people's necks and murders them.
Okay. So I have some medical sort of backtracking that I have to do.
Okay, let's get into it.
Gabby, you told me in the episode that you were a doctor. You were the only doctor. You were our only one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, well, sue me for malpractice, okay? So there is such a thing called trans-abdominal approach, which you can actually get an egg retrieval through that.
Because we did question that a bunch in the episode.
We did, yeah.
I did. Normally, you go in through the vagina.
Take a drink.
But sometimes ovaries can be difficult to see when there's been a history of like pelvic surgery or something that can cause ovary displacement. So that's when they'd have to like go in after, I guess, a ultrasound. They'd have to go in through the abdomen.
Okay.
But like that's like extremely rare. And I don't think
Virginia.
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 I'm doing the same thing as when we recorded the episode. I couldn't get the fucking V name straight.
But then again, we don't know Virginia's like history. And I think for the sense of the movie, they would have to do the whole trans-abdominal egg retrieval, because I don't think we could see a full vagina when we were going. But then again, anyways. Also, with the stomach rupture, I asked my mom. My mom's worked as a nurse for 30 plus years. She's worked in the ER all over the place. So she was like, I asked her a bunch of medical questions last night, and she was just like, what the fuck have you been watching? Because, of course, like, Dr. Weiling, still not a doctor.
Yeah.
Not a doctor, of course, because he's a character, but even in the sort of character sense, still not a doctor. Because when I asked about the navel rupture that happens when she's on screen during the whole TV interview, I asked that. She's like, I'm like, is that possible? And she's like, absolutely, like extremely rare. It's not common. Like what Dr. Weiling says. He goes like, it's very common. Like, no, because women will have like octuplets and all that stuff, and like their skin will just stretch. It just stretches. And for a woman who is like, I think it's like what, 6 or 7 months pregnant, her stomach would just stretch. Yeah. There's no chance. Like it would just. Yeah. So, unless extremely rare for whatever fucking reason. So.
This medical information reminded that I did find out what candy apple time means.
Oh,
And it's because the old school ways of doing abortions, especially what those two fucking freaks were doing for an abortion, where there's sort of a scoop, whatever utensil item that they use, and then scoop up the matter. When they pull it out, it would look like a little red blob at the end and look like a candy apple. So that's what they were saying when they meant candy apple time. They would scoop out the remains of the child, and it would be that. So yeah, okay. I'm glad we all know that now.
Yeah, I feel richer. Yeah, for that. I love that they say this. They perform the operation, and we still get a fully formed baby just in the trash.
Well, she was super far along. Yeah. And mutant far along as well. She was further along than normal.
Yeah.
But.
That is awful. That is so gross.
We are done with that movie. We've gone over that. I don't know, Nathan, if you had anything else to add.
No, we've talked about this too much.
We're done with it. Yeah, we can call the medical waste people. They can deal with this themselves. And we're moving on to next week's movie, which is Phantom of the Paradise. I'm going to quickly just double check, see where people can watch that one. I think it was on a couple things.
Yeah, I watched it. I think on the Internet Archive you can find a copy there. That's where I saw mine. I don't know if it's on Tubi. Most of the stuff we've been watching has been.
Yeah, which really goes to show about the quality of movies we watch.
Yeah.
Where Phantom of the Paradise is for rent on different things like Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube. But if we can get it for sure on the Internet Archive, it might be there. If not, you freaks are going to have to pay for it. Take a quick look.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
It's actually
one of the episodes. It's a really good movie.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be on that movie. So
yeah, and behind the scenes stuff at that time. So, and something that I'll eventually release maybe as a Patreon or something. But I had done a pilot of a version of this show when we were still in school, and the idea was to have different guests on that maybe worked on the movie or different film enthusiasts. So initially, when I reached out to Gabby to have her on, I knew she was into all of this stuff. So I was like, yeah, come on. But then it worked so well in Daughters of Darkness. So it was like, no, you got to come back for Unborn, especially since we're two guys just talking about it. So I was super wanted to get you back, but I had already planned to get Carrie on for Phantom of the Paradise because, and I'll say it now, I don't think we put anything else out. Me and Carrie are also doing another podcast about watching all of the episodes of Baywatch in order called Baywatched. So it was sort of an advertisement for that as well. And the thought was to get other people in for guests, but it's A, a lot of work, and B, we didn't have enough microphones. C, I just really liked the dynamic of the three of us, and I really wanted to have Gabby back, and I'm super happy that that's where things went, that I didn't keep trying to go with that guest thing, because you fit in so perfectly. It really just tied everything together. So I'm glad that you're here now, and we've, the podcast continues to change and evolve. But yeah, that is why on this next episode, it's sort of to pimp another podcast and was part of an original idea for the podcast. So that is why. Going forward, it's just the three of us. But I think eventually we'll bring in a fourth occasional person as a guest. I think would be fun sometimes. But those will be our 3.5 hour episodes. We get another personality in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Phantom of the Paradise on Internet Archive, if my internet will allow me to search.
So it is on, it's on Vudu, which is maybe where I watched it. I'm trying to remember. It was a little while ago. It's also on, there was one that kind of failed for me, but you might get it to work, which is, I think, justwatch.com, which is one of those more sketchy watch movies sites. So those are two options. I think the Vudu one is the one I ended up with.
Yeah, the Internet Archive one was linking to a website, but it seemed to fail. So it doesn't look like it likes that link anymore. Maybe it was just on my phone. But ultimately, it's worth the rent. It is a great movie, like truly elevated above most of the other stuff that we've done. So
Yeah.
I would say check it out. All right, but that's all I had. So
Do you want me to end us on another fact?
Oh God.
let's go.
Let's go. This one's a lot more tame. Roller coasters were invented to distract Americans from sin. And apparently, in the 1800s, hosiery businessman Lamarcus Thompson hated that Americans were tempted by hedonistic places like saloons and brothels. So he set out to straighten up one of the most immoral places he could think of, Coney Island in New York.
As you do.
There, he built America's first roller coaster to give New Yorkers some fun. So good, clean fun. Away from seedier pastimes.
If you spin them around enough to make them throw up, they're not going to drink and fuck.
Yep.
Words to live by.
Yep. Yep. All right.
See you later, everybody.